guys, it's Ellen, and today I want to do my January wrap-up. So the first couple books that I read this month I don't have with me because they're back at home. I finished them the end of my winter break, and so I was home for the beginning of January. I didn't want to lug them all the way to school and then have to bring them back. The first book I read this month is The Miniaturist. So it was the first book of the year, and it actually started out to a really good start. The setting of this book reminds me a lot of Girl with the Pearl Earring, which is one of my absolute favorite books of all time, because it takes place in Amsterdam, sort of around the same time period, and I ended up giving that one a 4 out of 5 stars. It was a sad book, also quite bleak. But I really liked it. Yeah, it was a good way to start the year. Oh, and The Miniaturist is by Jessie Burton. The next book I read is We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves, and this one is by Karen Joy Fowler. This book I started out absolutely loving, and I ended up not loving it as much by the end. I would say for this one, definitely don't read the back going in, because it kind of gave a couple things away for me that I would have wanted to find out on my own. I think actually the author set it up really nicely for you to find out sort of what's going on in the book as you go along, but the back kind of gives it away. But I really enjoyed the story. I found the main character extremely relatable. It's about this girl, and apparently she, as a child, talked a lot, and then as an adult, she doesn't talk as much, and she kind of recounts like what she went through in her life, and her, she's sort of like just out of college, sort of that kind of age, which I can relate to. But I liked the character a lot, and I thought that she was, you know, enjoyable to read. The characters around her, her family members, were all interesting. So overall, it was a good book. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next thing I read was a graphic novel, and it is Fables by Willingham. This one was a tough one for me. I didn't love it. I don't know. I usually really love fairy tale retellings. So it was a surprise to me that I didn't really like this one. I actually think it had a lot to do with the style of the writing and of the pictures. I think it was kind of hard to follow for me on the pages. It was much more of like a comic than a graphic novel in my book. And I don't know, there was another thing, another pet peeve of mine that this graphic novel had was that there's like an overuse of italics. Does anybody else find that in some books where it's like, I know where the emphasis should go. Like, I can figure that out on my own, and it's really distracting to have all of these italics everywhere. That actually happened. It's in Night Film by Marisha Pessel. I couldn't even get through the book because there were so many, like, I couldn't get through a page without there being so many that I was just so distracted and frustrated. So that happened with this book, and I did make it through this one, but I only gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because the story was good, but I was distracted and I didn't love like the pictures and stuff. But I think it's definitely, if you like comics and you like fairy tale retellings, then this is definitely one that you would like. The next graphic novel that I read is Anya's Ghost, and this one is by Vera Brosgol, and this one I liked a lot more. This one is a telling of a girl who kind of has this ghost that starts following her, and you think in the beginning that it's going to be just like, oh, this cute and innocent little ghost, but things kind of go awry, and in the end you end up learning all these like lessons, and Anya ends up learning these lessons about herself and about self-confidence and stuff, and I just thought it was very sweet, and I read it in one sitting, and the artwork was absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorite graphic novels of all time. It was really great. The next book I read is probably one of my favorites of the month, and it is Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. And if you don't know, this is the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass series. So I've read Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and then this 3rd book, Heir of Fire, is the 3rd one that came out. I believe the 4th one is actually coming out this year, and I can't wait because I loved Heir of Fire. That book is just, the whole series is so epic, just completely epic. I love it. Yeah, definitely 5 out of 5 stars. It's about a girl named Selena Sardathian, and she is an assassin. In the first book, she, you know, she's in this prison camp, and she is chosen by the king to compete to be the king's champion, or the king's personal assassin. So she has to compete to see if she will become this. And it's kind of just her story throughout. The world building is incredible. You know, the first book only uncovers this one layer, and then get into the series, and it's just like this whole epic world that you weren't even expecting, and I loved it so much. It's so good. I could rave about it forever. It's so good. Yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Landline by Rowell. And this one, I believe I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did like the writing style. It wasn't my favorite book by Rowell. I loved Fangirl so much. This one I found didn't have as much of a storyline, and there are sort of magical elements. I mean, the phone is a kind of a magical phone. And I just didn't feel like they fit into the story that well, to be honest. Yeah, this one wasn't my favorite by Rowell, but I did enjoy the characters. As always, Rowell writes fantastic characters that are really fun to read about. So I really liked the characters in the book, but I didn't love the storyline. Instead of kind of having an arc like I was hoping for, it was more like a downward spiral is kind of how I would describe it. And it was just kind of upsetting to read. I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the characters, but I didn't enjoy the plot or the magical realism. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Ruins by Orson Scott Card. This one is the sequel to Pathfinder by Orson Scott Card. And this Pathfinder I gave 5 out of 5 stars because it blew my mind. It was incredible. I loved it. This one I also loved. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Only because I found this one a little bit more confusing to follow. So there are a lot of time travel aspects in here, and I did find that he explained them really well, but even so, they're still really complicated and convoluted, and you have to keep track in your head of all these things that are going on. And while it's super interesting, it's kind of hard to follow. So I'm really excited to see what happens in the next book, which is Visitors, and I will probably most likely be reading that one in February. So that one will be in my TBR pretty much for sure. The next book I read is Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton. This one I read for the first time in high school and really liked it, and I didn't remember much of it. And I got this really beautiful copy. I realize now why I like this picture so much. It really drew me in. And I read on the inside or on the back here, yeah, it's on the back, it says that this picture is actually by Claude Monet, and he is my favorite artist. I don't know that much about art, but from what I know, I really enjoy Claude Monet, so no wonder I love this picture. And this one is just as I remembered. It was sad, and the setting was super bleak and cold, but I still really, for some reason, I just really like this story. I don't know why. There's not much to it. It's very, very short. But I just really like it. And it's super, super cold outside where I am. And so this one was a good read, by the fire, curl up with a blanket. It was kind of the perfect read. So yeah, I liked it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. And I finally read this one. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. And it was incredible. I don't think I've actually given this one a rating yet on Goodreads, but I'm pretty sure it would either be a 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. The two characters were, they were deplorable, like everybody says they are, and they were really fun to read. The story, it's about these two friends who go to school together, and at school they are trying to figure out how to create extraordinary individuals, so people who have basically superpowers. And so then you fast forward to the present, and they've figured it out, and now the two are mortal enemies, and they are trying to compete against each other, basically to the death. So very action-packed. It basically had everything that you could ask for in a book. Great characters, an awesome storyline. It was super fast-paced. I read this in, I think, 2, maybe 3 days. It was just great overall. I really liked it. Okay, so I am actually currently reading 2 books right now, and the first one is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I wanted to get to this one in January, but it is so long. I'm only 10 pages in, and it's really, it's kind of hard to get through because you need to build the world, and you need to sit down and have the time to really get into this one, which I'm really excited to do, but I haven't had as much time to, get into it. So this one I'll be reading in February, even though I wanted to read it in January. So Hopefully I'll finish that one in February. And the other book that I picked up that I'm currently reading is All the Light We Cannot See, another one that is carrying over from January because I didn't get to finish it. I'm currently, you know, partway through this one, maybe not even a quarter yet, but so far I really like it. The writing is just so beautiful. I could read this book forever just because the words just like burrow into my mind and make me happy. I mean, this story is very sad, but I don't know, there's something comforting about the language and I love it. So yeah, that one will be read in February for sure. Alright guys, that is it for my January wrap up. I read some awesome books this month. I feel like I just really enjoyed a lot of the ones that I read, which is great. And I look forward to reading in February. Thank you guys for watching and I will see you in my next one. Bye!